Hello everyone, how you doing? It's Caroline here, Caroline from Flourish by Design. I'm coming to you live from Dublin here in Ireland. It's an afternoon and I'm so excited to have you in my design studio where all the magic happens. And I'm just so excited because last week I did my first live back on Flourish by Design TV, and I promised that I would come back on and I would start doing some training and talking about my passion, which is the three things, which is conscious branding, personal branding, looking at identity, and looking at the identity development and femme leadership. So I love to pull together all of those aspects to support women in today's world. So we're designing this true woman, woman that's true to you. And that is just such a privilege to be able to speak about, because it is so important in today's world. So for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Caroline Niverku, we call it in Ireland, which is Caroline Murphy, who's more commonly known as, and I'm a mother of two. I've got a beautiful daughter, Lauren, who's 19, I have a son who's 17. I am a brand consultant by profession for 30 years, worked in large brands around the world. And I'm also a lecturer in Griffith College, where I teach design thinking, creative thinking, critical thinking to a huge student cohort from all over the world, international students. I'm also studying a master's in training education and development, which is always informing everything that I create as well. As I teach, I write and I research, and then as I research and I feed it back into my students, then I try to bring it to the world to make it more mainstream and to make it more simple for you to understand. So what I'm passionate about at the moment is femme leadership. And I've redesigned and I would say branded my own platform, which is Flourish by Design, to focus on this. Why? Because I'm very passionate about women and young women, women of all ages, and how we can bring our gifts and talents into the world at this point in time. It's so vitally important because, as you know, we have a lot of different world issues and global issues, and those can be very overwhelming sometimes to think about. But there is a very simple solution to all of those problems that I've found in my journey of self-discovery over the last 10 years, where I've been relentless in discovering myself, my own truth, and actually studying the pathway of human thought throughout time, from ancient times up to today, and to really understand that the secret is within each one of us, to design ourselves from the inside out and to show up authentically in the world. That is the only thing that we need to do to solve the greatest problems, because there's nothing that we can't solve that is outside of us, only what is inside of us. That's where we have the control. We have the control within ourselves. So it's really interesting for me now at this point in my life, having worked with traditional branding for so many decades, and then to bring my awareness around spirituality and my understanding of academia around identity into what is branding today. And I'm asking the question today, who do you think you are? Because this is really the question of our time at the moment, because authenticity is what everybody is looking for. It's what everybody is wanting to connect with. And it is something that is quite elusive to us when we're wondering, who am I? is one of the greatest questions that we can ever ask ourselves. Because a lot of the time we think we're one thing, and there's a little bit of a gap in actually knowing who we truly are. So it's bridging that gap is the training that I'm interested in bringing to you and helping you with. Especially because I have a daughter, and the world that she is moving into, she's started college now, and I have a son who'll be in college in a couple of years' time. I'm very interested in creating a conscious culture for them, for their children, and for their children's children, and for the children of the world. Always very aware of my beautiful students that come from all over the world. And as a mother, I am passionately protective of how they see themselves and how the world tries to inform them of who they are. So I want to build up self-esteem and self-confidence, and in leadership in women my age, older as well, to become true leaders in the world and to bring change and impact. So I'm very passionate about that, and that's why I'm developing these trainings. I also have a workbook that you can download on www.flourishbydesign.tv, which is a link below if you wanted to have a little start on that training. And I've started workshops, and I've started actually a beautiful one in Bali, and I have a number of different workshops that I'm really excited about bringing online to groups, and also one-on-one to as one-on-one coaching to women in leadership. So it's a new space that I'm very excited about, and it's emerging because of the needs that I see in society at the moment, and bringing my unique skills and talents to what I feel is very much a changing time. So what I wanted to talk to you about today, that's a bit of a frame about who I am and my motivations for being here and for spending the time out of my busy schedule to bring you all into my design studio. And today I wanted to start you with looking at that question and asking that question: who do I think I am? So I would first of all say, when you're thinking about yourself and thinking about your personal identity, would you ask yourself the question, if your name was brought up in a conversation, what do you think the words that people would be saying about you in that conversation? Think to yourself about that, and what would you like those words to be? You know, because you actually have control around that, even though you don't realize you do. Because in this world, people get an impression from your presence. Your presence, it's like a brand presence, is really important. It is the impact that you make when you spend time with other people. It's like a calling card that you leave behind when you've left. And you leave that behind as an identity as such. So when we become conscious of that, we can start to really look at how we can design that, and how we can, as leadership, femme leaders in the world, how we can tailor that to exactly what we would like it to be. Because we take ownership of our own identity, and we can take ownership of how we show up in the world and what we're here to do. So first of all, to understand that, and why is it important? It's really important because when we don't actually do that, when we don't define we are ourselves, unfortunately, other people are going to define that for you. They will define who you are outside of your awareness as such. So when you can clearly define it for yourself, to know who you are, to know what you stand for, and to know what you're here to do, then it's a very clear, crystal clear message that goes out from yourself, ripples out into the world, and has a positive effect on those all around you. Because everything you bring to the world is actually teaching the world who you are. You're teaching people how to treat you, and you're teaching how you want to be treated. Yeah? So it's a relationship that you have with the outside world that's designed from the inside out. Does that make sense? It's actually about awareness, So initially, just having an awareness around that. So I'd love you to think about the idea that in this world today, we might look at everything around us as having an impression on us as such. And if we wish to be known in a certain way, we have the power to become that. It might take some time to cultivate those characteristics that we want to impress upon people about who we are. But as we show up day to day and with repetition, that can be transformed. Interestingly, I was reading in Forbes actually during the week there about personal identity and how important it really is, because 90% of employers actually look online to check your social media, for example, to see if you are a candidate that they might want to take on in a role that you might be looking for. So your identity needs to be very clear, and if you take control of that, then you're showing up in an authentic way. That really affects so many different areas of your life, your employability, and then in business, in pleasure, again with dating. How are you showing up, and are you actually being true to yourself and expressing yourself in an authentic way so that you can attract partners that you're going to be matched with authentically? It just makes sense, doesn't it? So what I would look at, thinking about, we're in the age of products and technology, and everything that we wear, everything we buy, everything is a brand. And to understand that because of the evolution of technology and the fact that we're all online now in this global village, that actually every person is actually nearly a brand. And brands are designed from, and the foundation of brands are always based on a value system. So what we value and how we value ourselves is hugely important to how we present ourselves in the world. That's the cue to how other people value us. Does that make sense? So if you think about it, it's very simple. If you think about like a shop front as such, if you are displaying yourself with your true value to the world, then people are going to recognize your value, and then they're going to appreciate that. Yeah? So when you start to look within yourself and look at, what are my values? What do I actually stand for? What's really important to me? That shapes who you are and how you're perceived by other people. Why? Because it actually helps you also create boundaries around yourself for what's not true for you. So you won't accept certain behavior, you won't accept certain jobs, you won't accept certain partners, you won't accept, I would say, treatment that doesn't match the value that you put on yourself. So as a personal brand, to define who you are to yourself and to define what you stand for, your values are, is really so beneficial. It's the greatest asset that you actually own. You are your own greatest asset. And as you develop that, you will start to understand your purpose in the world. That will become clear to you the direction in which your life is to move forward in. So having a think about what are the traits that you love about yourself. What are the aspects within yourself that you really love about yourself and that are unique to you and that you feel are very valuable and that have actually really helped you throughout your life, that has led to success, have led to beautiful relationships, that have led to you flourishing and blossoming in the world, and then also looking at the traits that maybe could be updated and that maybe could be designed a little bit differently, because we have the control of doing that also. So you can increase your value that way. So when we look at areas of ourselves that can be upgraded, we have an opportunity to increase our value to ourselves, of course, first of all, and then that's reflected out into the world. So I'd love to think, just for you to ponder on that. Because when people, as we're speaking about femme leadership, I'm really interested in women that have a big, beautiful heart and that want to serve in the world and feel called to serve and have a mission and a purpose here, and maybe haven't had the guidance or haven't had the support that they needed to really feel that deep, innate sense of self-esteem and self-confidence to move themselves forward into the world and do what they came here to do. But that's what I'm here for. Like a fairy godmother, and to make all your dreams come true. And the secret is actually that, like in the Rainbow Warrior children's book that I wrote, at the bottom, when you move from that arc, from who you think you are to who you truly are, what you find at the end of the rainbow, everybody knows that. The Irish myth with the leprechauns. Yeah, the pot of gold. That's where your abundance, that's where your gold, that's where your treasure lies. Your treasure lies in finding your true self and who you truly are in the world. Sense of beautiful connection to those around you in all your relationships, and a deep sense of meaning is what blossoms from within you when we start to really tap into our true identity and why we were designed to be here now, and the purpose that we were put on this earth for. That's our true goal and our true goal. So I'd love you to think about between now and next week about what are the traits in your personal brand, and how much do you really know yourself? And is it time to become true to you? I think it's time that we start to explore this together and you can flourish from the inside out. So I'll be back next week to talk a little bit more about moving ourselves into creating that true identity. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm really excited to be on this journey with you. And if anybody wants to talk to me or can set up a one-to-one to have this discussion in the meantime, you can contact me at flourishbydesign.co, and I'd love to give you some guidance on where you might want to develop those traits. Okay, so I'll see you back here next week, next Wednesday, for another dip into who do you think you are. Talk to you again. Bye.